And while we wait for this class to start, I just want to say, express a good deal of appreciation for anybody who's working on their ASVAB today. It's a Saturday morning, depending on where you are, it might be Saturday afternoon, but a lot of people are spending their Saturdays doing stuff that's a little more fun. Not to say that this class won't be fun, but they're probably doing stuff like, the stuff that you're used to doing on this time of day. So I just wanted to express a great deal of appreciation for your time. And I've got a really exclusive offer at the end of this. So if you make it through the whole class for the hour, you'll be able to stick around at the end and I can tell you about something that's special and only for you. So if you're live and in this class, just go ahead and type in the chat, type your branch of service and then why you're here today, and we'll get started. And then I know some people said they would be here, so I want to give some special shout outs to Lydia and Phoebe. I think Jose Daniels said he was going to make it as well. So if you guys are out there, go ahead, type your branch. I'm happy you guys made it. And I'm going to try to use this time as wisely for your benefit as possible. So I'm excited to have you here. All right, cool. Well, let's get started. If anybody else wants to join the Zoom link's in there. So go ahead, click that and you can get into the actual Zoom and then we can talk. But if you just want to watch this video, that's totally fine too. This video should have some good help for you anyway. So let's begin. So if you type in your name and branch, now's a good time. And I'm going to warm up with a question from the checklist. So if you got your ASVAB domination checklist, good for you. It's going to be really helpful. I wanted to start with this question. And so I'll read it out loud for you guys. Usually I have my students read it out loud for me, but I'll read it out loud just so that you have it. And that way you can read it. So given the following graph borrowed from the checklist, what is the average time per question for the arithmetic reasoning? So on the arithmetic reasoning subtest, go ahead and state what the average time for that class would be. So I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes. I want you to try on your own. One thing that students do is they're like, oh, I just don't know what to do. The trick here is to at least try, right? So if you know what to do, great, go ahead and do it and start, solving the question. If you don't know what to do, try something, right? Even if you guess wrong and are doing something that's completely wrong, at least you're trying something and then you can course correct. It's a saying they say you can't steer a parked car. So you got to try something, even if it's not working very well, you're definitely going to want to put in some effort and see, even if you get it wrong, then you can see how to get it right after you put in some effort. All right, that's 1 minute. I'm gonna give you guys 2 minutes to answer this question. All right, 20 seconds left. Go ahead, try to solve. If you're running out of time, try to make a guess. Again, educated guesses are better than non-educated guesses. So make your best guess, A, B, C, or D. 3, 2, 1. All right, cool. So that's time. So this question is a trick question. Pow, 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 pow. Totally got you. None of the answers, A, B, C, or D, are correct. Sometimes that'll happen on a real test. You just want to give it the best answer. The closest answer to correct here is going to be probably 5 minutes, but let's go over how to solve this exactly. So one thing that I want to know is that not all information is important here. You don't need to know general science or word knowledge, all of that stuff. You just need to know this part. Arithmetic reasoning. So the question is, what is the average time per question on arithmetic reasoning? Now, a good word here is per. It's a really important word. Per means to divide. So anytime you see per, like percent, that means divided by 100. So out of 100. So per means to divide. So time per question means time, in this case, 55 minutes, per, we're going to divide question, 15. Now, if you've seen this before, most of you guys probably have, you may or may not know that it's the same thing as this. This is called a division bar, this little bar here. So once you see that, you kind of can't unsee it. And one thing that I always tell my students is top dog gets the house. So you may not be very good at division and you may not know what to divide by. So my little mnemonic to remember is top dog goes in the house. So we're going to put 55 in the house. Now, we're going to go over some faster ways to solve this afterwards, but I'm going to go over the slow way so you can kind of see how to do it. So very clearly, you say time per question, right? So this is time per question. And so we did 55 divided by 15. Top dog gets the house. So this is the top dog, or the first dog in this case, divided by 15. Now you just got to figure out how many times 15 goes into 55. Most of you guys are probably familiar with 15-minute breaks. You know that if you take a 15-minute break and you're gone for an hour, that's 4 15-minute breaks. So what that means is 15 will go into 60 4 times, right? A lot of you guys have that like intuitive math knowledge. You just don't know how to apply it. We're going to go over how to do the actual division here, but that natural, oh, okay, it's probably close to 4. That's going to be what helps you. And so 4 is the actual answer here, but 4 is not listed. And I did that on purpose. I just wanted to like show you that you need to pay attention to very specific details. The reason 4 is corrected is because it's rounded to the nearest minute. So if you're rounding the answer, it's got to be either 3 minutes or 5 minutes. And neither of those are actually the closest minute. The closest minute in this case is going to be 4 minutes. So let's do some division real quick. How many times does 15 go into 55? Well, it won't quite fit 4 times. It'll fit 3 times. So 3 times 5 is 15, carry the 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. So 3 15s makes 45 minutes. You probably knew that too. When we subtract, we're going to get 10 left over. Then what you want to do is go ahead and put a decimal and figure out how many times 15 will go into 100. Now, most of you guys may not know your times tables for 15s, right? Not many people know their 15s math facts. Lucky for me, I know that 15 times 6, I believe, is going to give me 90. So let's go through. 6 times 5 is 30, carry the 3. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 3 is 9. And so that'll give me 10 left over. So 3.6 is what's correct. And so that makes you want to pick this answer, 3.67. And 3.67 is the closest answer, but it's not rounded to the nearest minute. So I did this question with like a million different tricks to show you there's a lot of little ways that the ASVAB is probably getting you down. So if you're missing a lot of questions, sometimes it's little things, like little bitty tips and tricks. So even an hour of test preparation is going to go a long time to preparing for that test. The other thing I wanted to talk about is 3.67 minutes is a lot more time than most students think. Most students think you only get like 30 seconds per question or something like that. You actually get almost 4 minutes. So think of your favorite song. Your favorite song somewhere between 2 and 5 minutes probably. So the length of your favorite song is probably as much time as you have to solve that question. So you have a pretty good amount of time. It's just much, much easier when you know what to do. And that again is going to come from the preparation for the test. All right, let's move on to the next thing in this slide. So how will you use this hour? What are we going to do here? We're going to start with that warm up. We spent some time there. And next, we're going to talk about mindset. We're going to practice averages. We're going to talk about some free stuff. So some stuff that I don't offer, some stuff that's just on the internet. If you've been studying and working towards getting the best score on the ASVAB, you probably know there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of good stuff on YouTube, a lot of good stuff. March to Success is great. Your recruiter's probably giving you some good stuff. So there's a lot of really cool free stuff out there. We're going to talk about the checklist, which is free. Hopefully you downloaded the ASVAB Domination Checklist. That's what I created to help you guys on the ASVAB. And then we're going to practice probability. That's going to be the last question. It's about probability. And then exclusive offer. So just an offer, something for you. This is going to take about 60 minutes. So hope you set that time aside. Let me introduce myself. So my name is Mickey Gamonal. I am a second lieutenant in the Nevada National Guard. I joined the Army 2 years ago, and I've been enjoying it ever since. I got a 97 when I took the ASVAB, and that was a pretty good score. The reason that I was able to get a 97 is because I used to teach 6th grade math. And that really helped me a lot. I have a bachelor's degree in secondary education, and I even taught English while I was living abroad in Morocco for 2 years. So I've taught English and math, and those are the two main subjects that determine your AFQT. And so because I had all that experience teaching those things, years of experience, I was able to get a good score. And that's one thing you want to keep in mind. If your score is low right now, try not to rush it. You probably have to spend some time learning these things. So don't beat yourself up about how, oh, I don't know this, I don't know that, because it's easy to find things you don't know. Try to celebrate those successes and build on those. And it's going to take some time, but if you continually build, those baby steps are going to amount to large leaps. And before you know it, you'll have a great score. So that's a little bit about me. This is one of my favorite students. This is my distinguished honor grad of the year, Rogers. So Rogers was currently in the military, and I helped him to get a better job. He made it to every single class. He was one of my most motivated students, the most motivated student I've ever met. And so it couldn't have happened to a better person. I'm really happy that he got the score that he wanted, and I'm really just privileged. I'm so honored to be a part of his journey because he's going places and I get to help him get there. That's so win-win for everybody. All right, cool. Let's get started on mindset. Why are you here? You don't have to, if you want, go ahead and comment below and type it in the chat. But if not, if maybe you're a little bit shy about why you're here, you can write that on a piece of paper, whatever you want. But explain to yourself why you think you're in this class. What are you hoping to get out of it, right? What's the reason that you're here and not watching cartoons on a Saturday morning? Personally, I love watching Saturday morning cartoons. So I'm here to help you guys, and hopefully you guys are here to get help. But the clearer you are on the help that you want, the better success rate you're going to be. Another thing with mindset is a lot of students come to me really down on themselves. They're really upset because they haven't scored as well as they'd hoped they had. And so try to think about things that you've accomplished. Think about things that you're good at. And sometimes when I ask students, they're in that age where they don't know, they feel like they're not good at anything. That's probably not true. You're probably good at something. If you're here, you at least reached out, like you at least are putting in effort to do better. So there's something positive about you. Just try to think about what you've accomplished And when you look back on your accomplishments, it's a lot easier to see the trajectory. It's a lot easier to see the direction that you're going to go. So consider everything you've accomplished so far and think about the places you'll go. Remember, you can get better or worse each day. So maybe if you think about your accomplishments, for me, I could think of like when I finished Peace Corps, right? I finished a 2-year stint in Morocco. I lived in a different country. I had to speak a different language. And at the end of that time, I was really, really skinny, right? And since then, I put on some weight. And so I am a little bit worse in that department than I was back then, but I can still continue to get back to that. So even if, you know, maybe you feel like when you graduated high school or when you finished high school, you were pretty good at math, but now it's all gone. It doesn't mean that you can't get back to that. So try to figure out whether you're better or worse than you were at your peak, and then try to figure out how to get back to that peak. Because if you've been there, it's easier to get back to that. What happens if you don't accomplish this goal? This is one thing that will really motivate you to continue to try. A lot of, like, realistically, sometimes people don't get into the military. I had a student who actually had like a medical thing. He ended up taking a security gig because he couldn't join the military right away. But that doesn't mean that he's missing out necessarily. He's going to go do great things in his security gig. As long as he brings that same energy, he'll be doing great. So same thing, try to think about what your realistic plan B is, even if it's not what you want to do, even if you're not trying to go into security. Having that plan B is going to motivate you more towards your plan A. So figure out what would happen if your plans don't work out, and then that's going to push you to really make your dreams a reality. Lastly, remember, it will be difficult. Everything that's worth having takes time, effort, takes a sacrifice, right? So there's going to be bad days. There's going to be times where you're not learning. There's going to be times where you feel like you're not growing as a student. There's going to be times where you're just like, I don't get this and I'll never get this. All that means is you got to go to sleep. You got to wake up tomorrow and try it again, because that's what they treat you. That's what they're going to teach you in basic training. And that's what they're going to teach you at every school, is that even crappy days, you can still come back from that. So remember, it's going to be difficult. That's okay. That's part of the process. You have to trust that process. And even on those days where you feel like you're not growing, feel like you're not going in the direction, the next day is probably going to be one of your best days ever. For me personally, I know on the days that I don't want to go to the gym are the best gym days ever, right? Those are the days when I finally make it. I feel like I got the most out of it. So even those difficult times, push through those and expect those. All right, let's talk about the mastery cycle. This is how anyone gets good at anything ever. So we start here at number 1, the unconscious incompetence. So this has a prefix of un and in, which means the reverse of the word. So unconscious means you're not aware of it, you're not conscious of it. Incompetence means you're not competent, you're not good at it. So for some of you guys, it may be like, oh, I don't know what I'm not good at, right? I've heard that from a million students. I'm not sure what I'm not good at. That's super common. This is where you start. So we don't know what we don't know. What happens is you learn to find out, oh, I'm not good at fractions, or I'm not good at word knowledge, or I'm not good at blank, right? So now you're conscious of your incompetence. You're aware of what you don't know. Next, you put in effort. You try to figure out what you don't know, figuring out what you don't understand. And now you have conscious competence. So now you're aware of what you do know, but it still takes effort, right? It's not easy. And then from practice, now you go back to unconscious competence. You don't even know how good you are at it. We can do this really easily with driving, right? Most people know drivers or are drivers. At first, you don't even know how to drive. You don't even know what's going on with the pedals. You don't even know with the gear shifter or any of that stuff. You don't know about the mirrors. You don't know anything, right? But you learn about that, whether it's in driver's ed or your parents teach you, or you learn that by driving, whatever it is. And now you know, oh, okay, I gotta use the brakes, or I gotta use the gas. I know these things. From there, you put in effort and try to get good at it. And this is when students are like white knuckling the steering wheel because they're like, shoot, I'm gonna crash, right? So this is where everything is hard. This is where everything is difficult and it's so hard to drive. But if you practice enough, you can start changing the radio and having conversations with people while you drive. And now you're unconscious of your competence. You're so good at it, you don't even know that you're doing it, right? It's just natural to you. This green arrow is a different color for the reason that it's really hard to become a fool again, right? Most of you guys probably felt like you never had to learn math. You know, you're like, oh, I'm fine. You know, I'm good to go. But now every time that you take this ASVAB test, you're reminded, crap, this is something that I don't know. And this is the hardest part, because truthfully, you could live your life without being good at math or English. You could live your entire life. You probably know a lot of people who are there, who have lived their entire lives not being good at something, but they're just fine. Truthfully, you could continue that way. You have to make that conscious effort and that choice that, no, I'm going to try my best to get good at this. I'm going to do everything I can to be good at this, even if it makes me look like a fool, even if I struggle at first, I'm going to try. So that's why this arrow is green, because it's really the hardest part, is to become a fool again. And so this is the mastery cycle. This is the only way to get good at things. You'll notice learning, effort, and practice, that's really all you have. Those are the three tools that you have to get good at something. So you can keep learning, keep putting in effort, and keep practicing, and you'll be a pro at whatever you're trying to get good at. Guitar, driving, or math. All right, here we go. Question number 2. So I'm going to give you guys 15 minutes, or I'm sorry, 2 minutes. Go ahead and get started on this one. I'll read it out loud for you guys. If a student takes the ASVAB and scores a 15 first try, then gains 10 points every month, how many more months until they can score a 54? And go. All right, that's 1 minute. You got another minute. Remember the last question, you actually have 3 minutes for every arithmetic reasoning section. So I'm even pushing you a little harder so you can do that much better. Cool, and I'm just going through the chat. Again, if you want, go ahead and say what branch you're going, kind of like this. All right, cool. That puts us right at 2 minutes. Hopefully you were able to get some effort there. Adding somebody else to the class. 1 second. All right, so let's go through and solve this question. If a student takes the ASVAB and scores 15 first try, then gains 10 points each month, how many more months until they can score a 54? All right, so the way that you're going to want to solve this one. So I always have 4 steps for all my arithmetic reasoning questions. 1, you're going to analyze. 2, you're going to, from analyze, you have to identify. 3, solve, 4, verify. This comes from the Kaplan book, an ASVAB book. Really makes it simple. You want to figure out all the information that you're given, identify what questions or what information you need, solve it. That's the math part. So if you these two parts, you don't actually have to be good at math. These two parts, you got to be able to read and understand the question. That's usually what students are struggling with the most. Solving it becomes really natural once you understand the question. It's kind of crazy how that happens. And then verify is to check your answer, make sure that it makes sense. I saw a couple answers in there. Some people said, I think B. In this case, B is going to be correct. So this question's pretty cool. You start at 15 first try, and then 10 points every month. And so we want to know how many more of these 10s, how many more months until they can score a 54. So nothing too crazy here. How many more 10s does it take? So 1, 2, 3, 4. How many of these does it take? And this comes back to algebra later on. But for now, you can actually skip the algebra. You can actually solve this without having that algebraic background. You can just figure, okay, I need, well, let's try 4. You know, you can actually back solve this one really easy. Like if we tried 4 or 5, we can see, so if I added 4 10s, that's going to be 40. That's going to be 55. And then if I added 5 10s, that's going to be 50. That's going to be 65. 6 10s is going to be 60. That'll be 75. And 3 10s is just 30. 3 months, just 30 extra points plus his original 15. That's going to be 45. From here, you can back solve it really easy. Back solving is one of the most popular ASVAB test hacks. Use the answer to solve the question. So looking at these answers, you figure out, okay, which one is going to give me that 54? Well, B. B is going to be the closest one. So this one's really cool in that way. The other cool thing about this question is my students grow at this rate, sometimes much faster. I've had students get, I had like one of my favorite ones was a student who doubled his score in 1 month, went from a 22 to a 45. So 22 AFQT jumped up to 45 in just 1 month. The thing about this student though, you're gonna hear all of my success stories are because of the student as well as the tutor, but a lot of it has to do with the motivation of the student. So the student was putting in work every day, made it to class all the time, and was asking me questions on the side like, hey, how do I solve this? How do I solve that? And so I was able to respond every single class. We were using that time to make him better at math. And he was able to join the Marines at the level that he wanted. And so I was pretty happy. He's happy. Everybody wins. And so again, he jumped 22 points. Right? If we were to apply this to that student, we'll call him Antoine. I guess we'll call him something, right? So we'll call him Antoine. Antoine was getting a 22 initially. Then next month he got a 23-point boost. Now let's suppose he got another 23-point boost, and then another one. How long until this guy's outside of 100, right? That's the thing that you want to look at. You want to look at that marked growth. Every single month, you want to be getting better and better and better and better. And then boom, you're at the top. You get to pick your job, right? You can go in as a, you know, work with nukes or be a combat medic or be a X-ray, the like special forces. You want to have your pick of the jobs because you have to do that job for 3 years. You want to stay in as long as you need to. You want to do tutoring as long as you need to so that you can get the best possible job, because now you're spending 3 years doing what you love instead of spending 3 years with a job that you settled for. And also sometimes there's bonuses involved. And so you can actually make money by getting a higher score too. But yeah, so like Antonio was good with his 45. Antoine was good with his 45. But let's say we gave him another month. He could have gotten another 23 on top of that. Maybe a 68, right? And so who knows what better jobs he could have picked with a 68. So I'm going to encourage you to just continue to try and continue to build your score till you get the job that you want. Recruiters are going to encourage you to just get in, right? Just get in, get your foot in the door. And that there's a good point to that, right? Like if you really study hard and you barely pass and you want to just take that score and get in, that's totally fine. But you want to be able to make the choice, right? You want to be in the driver's seat of what you're doing with your life. And so I encourage all of my students to get the absolute best score that they can. And I do everything that I can to help get them there. Anyway, last thing I want to talk about was algebra here. The algebraic equation for this would be 15 plus 10m, where m equals the number of months. We would use greater than or equal to the 54. This comes from there. So greater than or equal to, he needs to do 54 or more, right? And so now we're going to solve for this m. There's two things you have to do in all of algebra. One, isolate. Two, simplify. So we want to isolate our variable. Variables are the letters. We want to get that m all by itself, and then we want to go ahead and simplify. So first thing you're going to do here is subtract 15 from both sides. 15 minus 15 is 0. And that's the reason we did subtracting 15 from both sides, is to isolate our m. So we end up with 10m is greater than or equal to, this is, you're going to want to borrow 14 take away 5 is going to give me 9. 4 take away 1 is going to give me 39. And so now we're like, okay, he needs the number of months that's going to be greater than 39. So now you divide both sides by 10. 10 divided by 10 is not 0. Everybody's like, oh, 10 divided by 10, it cancels. It does cancel, but it cancels to 1. It cancels to 1m. So we have an m all by itself. We've isolated that m. M is greater than or equal to 3.9 divided by 10, or 39 divided by 10, which is 3.9. That's a pretty cool little step too. You can do dividing by 10, like any number divided by 10, 1,327. 1,327 divided by 10 is, all it means is just shift the decimal. So anytime you divide by 10, you're just going to shift the decimal to 1302.7. So just like when you multiply by 10, right? If I were to do 3 times 10, I shift the decimal, it goes from 3 to 30. If I do 3 divided by 10, same thing's true. I'm just shifting the decimal, it goes from 3 to 0.3. So really cool math hack there. Anytime you're multiplying or dividing by 10, you can use that. And that's going to help you take like 20% of numbers. All sorts of things can come from that. But you have to understand that multiplying or dividing by 10 is going to just shift that decimal either to the left if you're or to the right if you're multiplying, it grows. And then to the left if you're dividing by 10, it shrinks. Cool. A lot of information from this one question. However you use to solve it, good for you, right? You want to get better at that skill and maybe learn these other skills on the side, but try to focus on your strengths. It's a lot easier to build on strengths than to start from nothing. So focus on what you understand about this question, however you got to 4, get really clear about how you got there. And then from there, it's easier to grow in other aspects of math. All right, cool. Good work. Let's jump back in. All right, next thing that I wanted to talk about, hopefully you guys got a chance to download the ASVAB Domination Checklist. If not, go ahead, go to asvabdomination.com, download that now. Again, I guess I'll give you guys another 2 minutes to go get that. The checklist is completely free and it's super duper helpful. And it's formatted perfectly to fit your phone. So let me see if I can pull it up on my phone while you guys go download it. Cool. So here's the ASVAB Domination Checklist on my cell phone. It's really cool because you can just slide through different pictures and see all the different information about how to dominate the ASVAB. So like here's some math terminology and here's some general science information. So you just slide through and it's going to help you with all sorts of things on the ASVAB. All I wanted to focus on today was word knowledge.
Word knowledge is worth twice as much. So I'm going to pull it up on the iPad over here. No, thanks. So word knowledge is worth twice as much. So I'm just scrolling through the same checklist that you have. This is really good information about how the ASVAB is taken, like how the ASVAB is scored. Based on whatever your first answer is, you're either going to get a harder question or an easier question. And the reason for that is they're trying to figure out how good you are at the ASVAB. So they're just trying to figure out if you're good. If you get a bunch of hard questions, that probably means that you're killing it. It probably means that, oh, we got to throw even harder questions at this guy or girl because they crush these last questions. So hard questions are a good sign. Easy questions are a good sign because that means, oh, okay, I know how to answer this. Oh, easy, I know how to answer this. Easy, I know how to answer that. That's a good sign too. So don't worry too much about whether the test seems hard or easy. Just always do your best because both of those things can be really good signs anyway. This is some time. This is average time for every question. For the arithmetic reasoning question, or for the arithmetic reasoning test, you get 3 minutes and 40 seconds for every question. So just a little bit of information. You can start timing yourself when you take practice tests. 900,000 people take this test every year. It's a lot of people. A little bit of information about every single test, but this is what I was hoping to talk about today. Word knowledge. So the word bank infographic. Let's start talking about how to develop your word bank. Word knowledge is worth twice as much as all of the other tests. Words can either save your score or sink your score. Something to think about for word knowledge, you only get 40 seconds per question. Like that's not very much time. So what you want is you want a big vocabulary. You want to know as many words as you possibly can. For native English speakers, this is really kind of like a handicap. This helps you a lot. For English language learners, can be a little bit difficult because you probably don't know as many English words as somebody who's spoken English their whole life. So this is one of those big things that'll change your score a lot. In just 9 minutes, you're going to decide a ton of points about your score. But this is the best way that I've learned to study for it. Create a word bank. So what you want is a bunch of words. And you can find these words on ASVAB practice tests online. You can find them through my program, but you want to just expand your vocabulary as much as possible. So get as many words as you can. List out these tough words and then write the definitions. So you can just Google the definitions, but you're going to want to physically write out all of these definitions because you can find other words that you may not know. So quarry, for instance, is a place to extract stone or other material. The verb there is to extract. So maybe you don't know what extract means, but now you've actually seen that word in the definition. So you've seen it kind of used in a sentence. That's going to help you with that word as well. So writing out the definitions helps to build your vocabulary as well as learn about the original word in question, in this case, quarry. Then, this is my favorite part, you want the simplest term. So you want to figure out what the easiest way for you to remember this word would be. So for quarry, I said it's a mine, right? That's the easiest way for me to remember what a quarry is. I know that mining is like where you go and chisel away diamonds and stuff like that. So a quarry is a mine. That's the easiest way for me to remember it. You may remember a quarry as a hole in the ground, or maybe something from a different language, or whatever it is, whatever your simplest term is, that's what you want to lock in for each difficult word. So start paying attention when you take practice tests to the words that you don't know, write those down, figure out their definitions, and then find the word that makes the most sense to you. If you start adding 5 to 20 words to your word bank per day, you will have hundreds of words in a couple of months. Like, it is awesome how quickly you can start to learn words. We're humans, so we're like hardwired to figure stuff out. We're always trying to think about like what somebody's trying to say, trying to understand why the faucet's broken, trying to figure out, how we can make more money, whatever. We're problem solvers naturally. So all you need to do is start listening for those words that you don't know, and you'll start to find yourself already trying to solve for what does this word mean. So increase your word bank 5 to 20 words per day, and your word knowledge score is definitely going to go up. Highly, highly, highly recommend. I got some information about paragraph comprehension, some math formulas in here too. I'm not going to go too deep into any of those things, except for probability. So we find the probability. Probability is success over total possibilities. So I'm just going to kind of write a quick question here. 3 yellow marbles. This is the way that the ASVAB loves to ask this. 3 yellow marbles, 4 green, 6 blue. And they say probability of not picking blue. Really, really simple formula. Remember, probability is equal to success divided by all outcomes. That's it. So once you understand that, this question becomes a lot easier. Like, again, the math processes are really what's going to make you good at the math sections. So 3 yellow, 4 green, 6 blue. What is the probability of success out of all outcomes? So you can solve for all outcomes pretty quickly. Give you a couple seconds, but how many marbles are there? That's going to tell you how many outcomes there are. So we go through, we add those up. 3 plus 4 plus 6. That's going to be our denominator, right? Denominator is what's underneath the divisor sign, the fraction bar. And then what is considered success? Well, success is not picking blue. So how many of these marbles are not blue? And that's it. Once you know how many marbles are not blue, just put that in your numerator, 3 and 4. And that's like all you got to do. Once you have this part done, you're pretty much set. So 3 plus 4 is going to give me 7. 3 plus 4 plus 6 is going to give me 13. So 7/13 chance. 7 out of 13. Maybe they have it like as a percentage. All that means is you have to do the division here. So you're going to put the 7 inside, 13 outside, and go through and divide. It should be right around 50%. Maybe a little more than 50%. Let's go through and do it. 13 doesn't fit into 7, so we're going to call it 7.0. Just like $1 is $1.00. Same idea here. You just put a decimal with a 0 here. You're not changing the number. How many times does 13 go into 7? Maybe 5? Maybe more. We'll see. 3 times 5 is 15. Okay, the 1, 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 65. Sweet. I got lucky. So 70 take away 65 is 5. And so it's 0.5. And then how many, we're going to add another 0. How many times does 13 go into 50? I would say 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 1 is 3. And borrow 11. So we get 11 remainder. We'll call it 53%. That's fine. Maybe 54%. So that would help you to solve for percentages. So again, probability, percentages, all these sorts of things are just building on top of each other. So you want to understand kind of the base level, like base formulas. Probability is success out of all outcomes, and then go through and solve everything else. So that's about all I have to say about the ASVAB domination checklist. If you look through it, you're going to see a ton of extra stuff, lots of math formulas, some good terminology that's going to help you with all your arithmetic reasoning, that sort of thing. And then general science information, mindset stuff. I always start and end with mindset stuff because that's probably the most important thing. Opening your mind to the possibility that you could be good at math. It's probably one of the main things that's holding you back or holding you from your goals. All right. Here's some free stuff that I'm going to recommend you check out. There's the ASVAB test application. Just type in ASVAB test on like Android or Apple, and that app is going to give you a ton of practice tests. That one's good. The Math Cards app this one is for, let me pull it up on my phone. So that's this app up in the top corner. So just go math cards. And so it's really cool because it's just addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. And so it's like straight up flashcards. Maybe you guys think this is like too childish for you, but I've seen a lot of students do really, really well after getting some of these basic math facts down. So get a little bit better with those math facts, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and that's going to help you to understand all of the processes that much better. So go ahead, that's a really good app. Quizlet's good. We've got some science Quizlet flashcards that are really helpful. There's a couple good YouTube channels out there. My favorite YouTube channel is mine. So check out Gamonal Tutors on YouTube. I've got tips and tricks playlist for the ASVAB Domination. And then also check out the checklist. I recommend using the checklist for a few weeks. Look at the formulas, try to, like, you can look over those formulas and see like, okay, I understand this part, I understand this one, I understand this one. You can start to see gaps in your game really quickly. So use that checklist for that. And then I even was going to tell you guys what my first assignment for all of my students are. So first assignment is always take a practice test. Take a practice test on your own, take pictures of tough questions and your final score. And then I recommend that they post that to the private group. And so that way my tutors and I can go through and look at everything that they've been through, all the questions that they're struggling with, and we can start building a plan to get you better. And that way, next time you take the test, you don't have to fail anymore. You can actually see progress. You can see yourself getting better at these things because you spend anywhere from 3 to 5 hours every single week getting good at this. So you will get better in my class because you're spending the time, spending the effort in that class. And if you spend time outside of class, you're going to get that even more better faster. So keep that in mind. Your next move. So the next thing you're going to do from here is you can continue to work on your own. There are a lot of free apps, a lot of free stuff on YouTube. I recommended that. Make sure if you're going to work on your own, set your own schedule. So figure out what hours you're going to be studying on your own. And hold yourself accountable. So this means figure out a way to make sure that you do what you're going to do. If you want to work with me, you can join me on the asvabdomination.com and then click Pro. That's going to help you to join my Asvab Tutoring program. We meet 5 times a week. We have an online web application that goes through everything I just talked about in a lot more detail and really helps you at your own pace. So even if you can't make it to class, you can do this web application and that's going to increase your score. On top of that, I have 3 other tutors with me. I have a math specialist, a science specialist, and an English specialist, and me. And all 4 of us work to give you the best possible score. So we meet with you every week. We cover 1 topic per week: math, English, another math, and science. And so we do that for as long as you need it. So we're going to continue to work with you until you are good to go. 4 tutors per subject. And then we also offer extra one-on-one. So if you need extra help, say you're not getting fractions, you can reach out to me and I'll spend some time with you just one-on-one, building up those skills. The other great thing is it's a study group. So it's a group of people who have invested time, money, and energy into their goals. So maybe you feel like the friends you hang out with aren't motivating you and pushing you to get better. This is a really good, really good environment to be in because everybody in there is trying to do the same thing you are. Get the best ASVAB score so they can get the best job, get their life going in the direction that they want to. So it's really good for that study group. That environment's super, super key. And I'm so grateful to be a part of that. So those are your 2 options. Truthfully, either one you choose, I'm going to recommend this part in the middle where it says keep going. So keep trying. I'm happy you made it to this class, but keep putting in effort and keep going. Finally, I have an exclusive offer for everybody who made it today. Please type in the chat because I can't see you guys in my Zoom room. So type in the chat the branch or something like that. Let me know that you were in here, because I want to make sure that I'm only giving this to people who made it to class today. But if you
if you took the time to invest in yourself, I'm giving away my online course, which is worth $100. It's called The Only Math Test You Need, to anyone who signs up for my program today. So that means 24 hours from now, you have to sign up before noon tomorrow on my website, and I will give you this program. I designed this course to cover all the math the ASVAB has. It breaks down the subjects into lessons, then answer explanations for all 57 questions. And it's exclusive to those who made it. So only you guys who are here today have access to this course. Nobody else is on there. And you have 24 hours to register starting now at asvabdomination.com. So if you want that course for free, not even my students get that. So that course would be yours for free as long as you register within the next 24 hours. A little bit of information about that goodie. Boom. Okay, so it's right here. It covers geometry, distance, rate, and time, averages, ratio, proportion, probability, percent change, fractions and decimals, measures, algebra, interest, mixed word problems, and final words. So if you're struggling with any or all of that stuff, this course is going to help you there. It's got 3 to 5 answers and explanations, and then it also has a lesson at the beginning of each of these sections explaining how best to solve it and what comes with these sections. So work through this on top of my program and your score is definitely going to rise. I'm really proud of this course. I put a lot of effort into it. It is like the course that I built to give you the best score on the math portion. So that's why I call it the only math test you need, because if you can go through all of these sections, there's nothing on the ASVAB that's going to surprise you. You never have to go through the ASVAB again being scared of what the next question is going to be, because you will have seen something like that and you'll know how it was answered before. So this is going to help a lot of people, and it's only exclusive to you for the next 24 hours. You'll have 3 months to complete the course, and from there, you can talk to me and we can go from there. But that is what the extra goodie is. That's the bonus for everybody who made it today. Thank you for making it today. And that is all I have for you. Great work today. Let me check out the Zoom thing, see if anybody said anything, any questions or anything like that. You guys are totally welcome to reach out to me. Let me know if you have any questions and I will help you from there. All right, I hope everybody has a great Saturday. Keep working towards your goals. You're doing great. I'm so happy you guys made it, and have a great day. Bye-bye.